starts by introducing us to Shrek.
Oh, hello there!
An ogre who lives happily in solitude in the swamp. He spends his days enjoying the peace and quiet of his home, far from the world. Shrek maintains this isolation by scaring away any humans who come too close to his land. In one scene, he frightens off a group of villagers who had come to capture him, making it clear that Shrek prefers to keep everyone at a distance. Meanwhile, Lord Farquaad, the ruler of Duloc, is ridding his kingdom of all fairy tale creatures. In a nearby village, a talking donkey named Donkey is about to be captured. Donkey's owner tries to sell him, but in a moment of panic, Donkey escapes and runs into the woods. While fleeing, he crosses paths with Shrek. The two meet when Donkey accidentally crashes into Shrek's territory, and although Shrek initially tries to get rid of Donkey, the persistent and talkative Donkey sticks around. Shrek reluctantly lets him follow along. By the way, please subscribe. If you don't, he will come to you at night. Shrek returns to his swamp only to find that it's now overrun with fairy tale creatures, including characters like Pinocchio, the Three Little Pigs, and many others. These creatures have been exiled by Lord Farquaad and are seeking refuge in Shrek's swamp, much to his dismay. They explain that they were forced out of Duloc and have nowhere else to go. Frustrated by this invasion, Shrek decides to travel to Duloc to demand that Lord Farquaad remove the creatures from his swamp and return it to its peaceful state. Despite Shrek's attempts to leave Donkey behind, Donkey insists on coming along, excited by the idea of an adventure. Thus, the two set off toward Duloc, with Shrek determined to get his home back. The mood quickly shifts, though, when Shrek and Donkey find themselves in the middle of a tournament that Lord Farquaad is holding to choose a champion. Farquaad has been searching for someone to rescue Princess Fiona, who is locked away in a tall tower, guarded by a dragon. He promises whoever rescues her the privilege of becoming his knight. Shrek, who only cares about getting his swamp back, decides to fight off all the other competitors and wins the tournament.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Impressed by Shrek's strength, Lord Farquaad agrees to a deal. Shrek will rescue Princess Fiona, and in return, Farquaad will give him his swamp back, free of all the fairy tale creatures. With this new mission in hand, Shrek and Donkey set off on their journey to rescue Fiona. Shrek and Donkey eventually reach the towering castle where Princess Fiona is being held. The whole place is surrounded by lava, giving it an intimidating look. Shrek manages to get across with Donkey, although Donkey is terrified the entire time. Once inside, they're confronted by the dragon. Donkey tries to talk his way out of danger, but the dragon ends up chasing him around the castle while Shrek sneaks off to find Fiona. In a fun twist, the dragon actually becomes interested in Donkey, treating him almost affectionately, which allows Donkey to avoid being eaten. Meanwhile, Shrek reaches Princess Fiona's tower and finds her ready to be rescued. Fiona, who has been waiting for a true love's first kiss kind of rescue, is disappointed by Shrek's straightforward approach. She expects something more romantic, but Shrek just picks her up and heads out of the tower without much ceremony. As they make their way out, Shrek grabs Donkey, and together they manage to escape the dragon's grasp. With Fiona in tow, they head back to Duloc, but it's clear Fiona is not quite what she seems, and the journey back holds more surprises. So now Shrek, Donkey, and Princess Fiona are on their way back to Duloc. But the journey isn't exactly smooth sailing. From the very beginning, Fiona's not your typical damsel in distress. She's got her own quirks, like insisting on taking breaks and demanding privacy at night, which seems a bit strange, right? Shrek, of course, just wants to get the job done and get his swamp back. But along the way, things start to change. It's on this journey where Shrek and Fiona slowly start bonding. At first, they're butting heads. Fiona's expecting a knight in shining armor, And Shrek, well, he's just an ogre with no time for fairy tale nonsense. But as they spend more time together, they start to warm up to each other. And let's be honest, who could resist Shrek's charm, right? Underneath all that grumpiness, there's a heart of gold. Then there's Donkey, who, as always, is adding his own brand of humor to the whole situation. He's like that one friend who never knows when to stop talking. But you love them anyway because they always manage to lighten the mood. Donkey even starts to notice something developing between Shrek and Fiona. And like any good wingman, he points it out, much to Shrek's embarrassment. But not everything's rosy. At the end of the day, when the sun sets, Fiona becomes oddly secretive. She insists on hiding away in a cave or behind a tree. It's a weird habit, and Shrek can't figure out what she's hiding. But we, the audience, start to suspect something's up. So here's where things take a turn. During one of these sunset moments, Donkey stumbles upon Fiona, and she's an ogre. Yeah, not the elegant princess we've been seeing so far. Fiona is under a curse that makes her transform into an ogre at night, and it's something she's been hiding out of shame. Now, Donkey, bless his heart, is super understanding, and even tries to cheer her up about it. But Fiona's worried about what Shrek will think. She's convinced that no one could love her in this form, because, well, ogres aren't exactly society's standard of beauty. The next morning, Shrek overhears part of a conversation between Fiona and Donkey, but as you'd expect in any good story, he misinterprets it completely. He thinks Fiona's disgusted by him because he's an ogre, but in reality, she's talking about herself. It's one of those classic mix-ups where if they just talked for 2 minutes, the whole thing would be cleared up. But, of course, Shrek storms off, heartbroken, and makes a beeline for Lord Farquaad. Now, Fiona's left confused, thinking Shrek doesn't care, while Shrek believes he's not good enough for her. It's a mess, but it sets the stage for the big finale. Alright, so here we go. Shrek, feeling like Fiona would never love someone like him, heads straight to Duloc to hand Fiona over to Lord Farquaad. In classic Shrek fashion, though, he's grumpy and hurt, and doesn't stick around for any farewells. Meanwhile, Fiona is left heartbroken, thinking she's been rejected. It's a classic case of miscommunication. Fiona agrees to marry Lord Farquaad, even though it's clear she's not in love with him. The guy just wants to be king, and he doesn't care much about her at all. She's desperate to break her curse before sunset because, remember, she turns into an ogre at night, and that's not exactly the image Farquaad is going for. So, they rush into a wedding ceremony, but here comes Donkey, our lovable, talkative sidekick. He's not going to let things end like this. After some convincing and some dramatic moments, Donkey helps Shrek realize that he's in love with Fiona and has to stop the wedding. Now, this is where things get epic. Shrek bursts into the church, right in the middle of the ceremony, in true movie fashion. He's got Donkey and the dragon, yes, the same one from earlier, as backup, and chaos ensues. Lord Farquaad is furious, of course, and demands Shrek leave, but Shrek, for the first time, lets his guard down and confesses his love for Fiona right there in front of everyone. It's that big, dramatic moment we've all been waiting for. And just in time, because the sun sets and Fiona's true form is revealed. She transforms into an ogre in front of the entire wedding party. Now, you'd think this would be the happily ever after moment, right? But nope, Farquaad is not having it. He orders Fiona to be locked away, declaring that she's a hideous beast and not fit to be queen. And here our story ends. Lord Farquaad puts Shrek and Fiona in prison, and continues to live happily in his kingdom.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
Huh. Don't worry. Than's a joke. Our trusty dragon swoops in and takes care of Farquaad in one swift and rather satisfying bite. Problem solved. Fiona is still feeling insecure about her ogre form. She's convinced that the spell was supposed to make her beautiful, but Shrek tells her the truth. She's always been beautiful to him. And boom, there it is. True love's kiss. They kiss and the spell locks her in her ogre form permanently. But instead of being upset, Fiona is finally at peace with who she really is, and so is Shrek. The movie wraps up with an epic celebration back at Shrek's swamp. Shrek and Fiona are officially a couple, Donkey still being his hilarious self, and we even get a musical number to close things out. It's the perfect fairy tale ending. Or, as Shrek would say, the perfect ending for a not-so-typical fairy tale. They ride off into the sunset, on Donkey's back no less, proving that love comes in all shapes and sizes, and happily ever after doesn't always look like what you'd expect. That wraps up Shrek's story. Hope this recap did justice to the awesomeness of the movie. Before we close out, let me know in the comments what your favorite part of Shrek is, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps just like this one.